Hello and welcome to today's session, which is Understanding Finance. Unfortunately, Julie isn't very well. She's got tonsillitis, so unfortunately just got in touch with me this morning to say that she's unable to make it. So I didn't want to let everybody down. I'm happy to stay on live for the next sort of 20 minutes to discuss any challenges that you're facing when it comes to understanding finance and understanding data. So we'll get going in a couple of minutes' time. We've just got a few more people that are joining the Facebook group and coming onto the live session today. So my name is Sarah Potter and I'm the founder and director of Peer Genius. So to give you a little bit more insight into what HR Rebellion is, it is really that movement. So how HR can be bespoke and really a lifeline for HR professionals. So let's not reinvent the wheel. Let's support each other with their resilience and with your well-being. So we've really been up against it since 2020, and even now there still feels like there is no let up. So recruitment's absolutely mental. We've got ER cases coming out of our ears. So now it's really our chance to shine. And obviously with having finance as the number one and the go-to place for most CEOs, MDs, I think now's our time to really be able to shine. We've added so much value over the last 18 months with the global pandemic. So how can we turn this opportunity now into MDs really focusing on people and how we can drive those really key strategies. So like I said, Julie is unable to make today. So when she's better, hopefully towards the end of the week, I'll be able to get some more dates from her and we can come back with the part one of understanding finance for HR professionals. So what we're going to be doing with Julie when she does return is understanding the P&L, going through some calculations of how we can really get under the skin of how HR can add value and really be commercial and demonstrate our worth. And then we're also doing, which you didn't know about, a part 2 and 3 before Christmas. So we're going to be giving you 3 hours of free training to really upskill yourself and be confident and competent when it comes to understanding data. And also really key on how we can position the great work that you're doing to be able to be commercial and how you can play that back to the business and really demonstrate your worth within your roles. So like I've said for today, I'm happy to be live for sort of the next 15-20 minutes. Let's see how it goes. So I really want to open the floor up to a shared peer session. So this is your time to learn, share best practice, come to us with any challenges that you're facing, anything that you are doing really well that you wanted to share with your peers as well on the call today. So let's sort of get the ball rolling that aspect, and then we'll end today's session as well. And I've got 5 top tips that I was going to share on today's session with Julie about how you can really partner with your finance business partner as well. So more than happy to take any questions if you want to pop those into the chat box and they'll come through to me around some key points of any challenges that you're currently facing at the moment when it comes to understanding data, people analytics, insight, your own level of confidence. So feel free to pop any of your questions into that chat box and we'll be, I can't see who has posted them. You can externally on the Facebook group, but at the moment I can't see who it is. So if anybody does want to put any specific challenges that they're facing at the moment, and I'll support you with that from sort of my HR hat on, as well of how I've sort of overcome that and share some best practice and insight, and anybody else that has got any questions that they wanted to put on there or any ways that they've overcome that challenge as well. So let's keep this as a live peer session for sort of the next 15-20 minutes and then we can go from there. So if you wanted to spend the next couple of minutes popping some questions on there and we can come to them, and then obviously I can circulate those around the group for everybody else, and also we'll be able to put them to Julie, and when we are looking at the next 3 sessions that we've got planned for you, we'll be able to include all of those challenges and she can come back to you as well with her finance director perspective as well. So has anybody got any particular challenges at their moment that they're facing when it comes to understanding finance. So do pop your questions and your challenges into that chat box, and we'll be able to come to you. So brilliant. So already got the first question in, and I do apologise, it doesn't show me on this platform, unfortunately, who the person is. So I will obviously look back on the page at all those questions coming through. So working out a people requirement based on sales and data, so the ideal base. So yeah, Julie's got a brilliant slide on that, and we were working it out from the point of view of your sales teams. So through this, we were going to give you some ideas on how to have some really quick wins. So how can you position yourself to get some quick wins? So working out people required based on sales data. So we've got a calculation that Julie will be able to share with you on the next session. Again, it works out if someone's in the sales team, what their sale per head is, and as a wider group as well. So obviously you might have people that are working in the back office that necessarily aren't frontline sales functions, but actually we all need to be signed up to the same strategy, the same vision, the same ethos. So we worked, she's got a calculation that she can share with us that worked out the sales per head for a whole company point of view. But again, if it is in that specific sales team, how do we work out how many salespeople we need? But touching on that as well and looking at that sales department, I think it's a really good one to start with. And I've done quite a lot of work with the Institute for Sales Management, so the ISM, and the National Sales Conference as well. So I think it's a really good idea as HR professionals to be in on those sales calls. So when we're looking at motivation, productivity, and sickness absence particularly, in those teams, we would potentially be able to work out, well, you can work out per one person, what is their sales. So if they're not in the business, so if you have got 20% of a month where your staff aren't in being productive, that potentially you can correlate that to say, actually, we've increased or we've made our sickness absence reduction, and that is a 10%. So therefore, in monetary figures and commercial aspect, we are giving the business back an additional £100,000 revenue of potential where staff are available to work. So yeah, brilliant to see that is the first question that's come through, and that's exactly a calculation that Julia's got for us as well. So it might be that me and Julie do a live session, or in between that me and Julie can do a recording, and we'll be able to record and come back to you with all of these great answers that she's got for you. So brilliant. I hope that answers. In the meantime, or interim, say, yeah, brilliant, she's got that calculation, and we're back with you. So another question that's come in, so brilliant, and keep firing these through to me. It's absolutely fine. So what are the most important people analytics stroke data? Obviously, understand every business is different, but key analytics. And again, we've got Daryl Golding, who's our data and people insight expert on this. And you can literally go to town on that. So for me, and we've got these on there as well, there's probably 5 that I think are really key, and then another 5 which are secondary. So off the top of my head, I would say your attrition. So again, what does that look like, and are you benchmarking that? So again, I've done a lot of benchmarking exercise when it comes to attrition, but actually don't be complacent if you're in line with the industry standard. And that's what One PLC was when I worked there. So they were quite complacent to be, actually, our attrition is in line with everybody else. But actually, this is our individual P&L. So if we can increase that by a 5% increase or decrease to make it the figures better for us, that's what it means to our individual P&L. So don't get benchmark, but don't get complacent with that benchmark. Always look to be improving. So what are you doing with the data? So a bit like GDPR, like what's fit for purpose? What are we doing with once we've gathered this data? So make sure that you're making some really informed decisions. Then I'd look at your sickness absence. So again, what's that in line with, and what's the cost of that? And your recruitment costs, which I know from an agency point of view are absolutely massive. But me and Julie have discussed recruitment in quite a lot of depth. So we'll go into recruitment's one of my top 5, but there's probably 5 elements or even more when it comes to your recruitment and what is the true cost of your recruitment. So again, me and Julie have got a really good slide to share with you on that, which goes through it. like your time for managers to interview and actually see people, to the lost time of the team when they're not being covered for that person not being there, the actual 3 to 6 months of people not being 100% delivering, and what's the true cost of that, for your training and your induction, your cost of your uniform, your potential cost if someone isn't in post where you might not be able to deliver, you might have customer complaints, so is that brand damaging to the reputation? So as well as your recruitment costs, which might be your direct costs. So she's done a really good slide for you, which works out your direct costs and your indirect costs. So absolutely brilliant question. And yeah, 3 would be your recruitment. Number 4, for me, one about people and data analytics. Again, it is your true headcount and your agency costs, and can you reduce your agency costs down, and what's the impact of the business? So knowing the makeup of the different contracts that you've got for staff, again on your CEST and your IR35, so to truly know the makeup of your workforce, and what that looks like. And again, you can save some costs easily if you are, say, new to the HR department, or things have been going on for quite a while with COVID. You might have some workers that are coming up to that 2-year status. So again, looking at the data when it comes to that. And my 5th key one when it comes to your data and your people analytics would be looking at your workforce representation. So around age, your race, like how are you reporting on those when it comes to your disability. So there's going to be a lot more that are coming through from a mandatory point of view, like we had the gender pay gap reporting. So what's your actual makeup of that, so you can do some informed workforce development. So again, recruitment's really hot at the moment. What is our internal succession? So have we got people that are potentially going to be retiring in the next couple of years that we need to look at apprenticeships maybe coming through, or some internal succession? So my 0.5 on data would be the makeup of your workforce and that data. But again, I think that's the top 5. But again, I think, like you said, it's different for every organisation sector that you're in. So those would be my top 5, that if I was going into a new HR department as a business partner or a new head of, would be the first initial questions that I'd be asking to see what quick wins I could get from a sickness, absence, productivity, forecasting point of view. But again, really keen to be challenged on that and have everybody else share what their potential top 5 people analytics and data would be. So again, if anyone's got any questions, fire those over. So more than happy to be live for sort of the next 10 minutes, and then I'll share once everyone's sort of confident that they've put their questions to me. I've got my top 5 tips when it comes to partnering with finance, and then how I've done that. So brilliant, another question come through, so thank you for that. How much time weekly HR should spend with finance in your opinion? And I think it depends upon the size of the organisation as well, and the makeup of those teams and your strategy of how, are you brand new into a role? Is it something that's quite frustrating you at the moment that you haven't got that great partnership? Or have you got that partnership and it's probably gone a bit sour and we're all working remotely? It might be that you had a really good partnership in your previous roles, or you've just had a finance person that's just leaving, you've got a new finance person coming into place. So I think just thinking about those individual circumstances at the moment, and to position you guys more as experts. So the way that I perceive this positioned is that finance, yes, they are the number 2, and it breaks my heart to see that so many finance directors and ops directors move into those MD roles, CEO roles before the HR directors do. Like, it blows my mind that they do, but again, we're here to challenge that status quo, and it's our opportunity now to prove our worth. And I think we can really do that through understanding finance more so. And again, if we look at our finance qualification and our HR qualifications, they don't really give us much grounding when it comes to finance. And I certainly know I got into HR 15 years ago because I didn't want to do accountancy. I liked people, and people fitted my skill set a lot more. And if I share my insights you wouldn't see an insights person with green and yellow. So definitely I'm better suited to a people function. But again, based upon my insights and the work that I've done, I've had to teach myself to be more practical, more evidence-based. So I've had to ramp up my blue. So it's not something that comes natural to me. So again, that might be something that you share too. So I think how much time we should spend with HR would be building that relationship as much as possible. So if I come into my 5 top tips on how to partner with HR, and then in the meantime put your other questions through to me. So my first top tip of number 1 is what quick wins. So when it comes to your data, what quick wins can you have to build that credibility and get them to listen to you? So as I've said, it breaks my heart that more finance people go to MD positions before HR. So how can we change that shift? So finance are dealing with the numbers that are already happened, whereas HR, we've got such an opportunity to mould and shape and influence the input. So we can change and have an influence and an impact to the numbers before finance even get to them. So how do we position ourselves as that expert to influence the input? And I think that's what we really need to own and inform and tailor our approach and educate the business on this is where we can position ourselves, we can manage the input. So again, when it comes to P&L, if P&L, we're looking at machinery and that machinery was broken, believe me, your MD would want to fix it. So if we look at wages on a P&L, it's broken. How are we maximising it? How are we looking at efficiencies, productivity? We're not as much as what I think we should be. So I think a weekly hour to start with would be good. And that depends upon the journey, how confident you are with numbers and how receptive your finance person is. And if it is a case of your board level HRD and it's board level dynamics, there's always probably not a really good culture and you're potentially in competition, how can you put egos aside to really deliver some great strategies from a people function point of view when it comes to your own individual strategies, but also how can you partner together to really deliver some great revenue savings for the business? So I think it's how we talk and our language. So for me, my first top tip is what are the quick wins? So what's our agenda that you want to achieve and you need your finance person for? So again, that could be reducing sickness absence, looking at your succession planning, reducing costs when it comes to recruitment. So you might need your finance person to give you that initial data. So position it as in you're going to them for support and help. And they're the expert in the field to be able to position that. So put egos aside and how can you work together? So number 2 would be what is your relationship? So that HR business partnering. So how long has your finance director been there? How long has this relationship not been so great if it isn't, or how long has it been and you want to take it to the next level? So I'd really look at where your finance department is at the moment and that relationship and how you can really build those bridges. So in order to do that, my third top tip was really get to know your finance person as an individual. So again, what's their insights? How are you communicating? What does that relationship look like? What are they up against it within the business from a quick wins point of view, that is from a HR function you could support with? So are they recruiting in their team? Have they got a sickness absence? Have they got AWOLs? Have they got something from a HR people perspective that you can give a little to get a lot back? So what does that look like? So have they got a team that potentially they've got some headaches with? And believe me, if they're finance as well, they might be quite introverted. So it might need a bit more support when it comes to that people management element. So is there something within the individual finance team we can do some quick wins with? And to really focus on it put yourself in the finance director's shoes. And think about how are they communicating to the business? Is it one page of documents? How is it? And see if you can mirror that. And again, be this chameleon when it comes to our stakeholder engagement. So are they kinesthetic? Are they on feelings? Are they very visual? So how are we positioning ourselves to be the best communicator for them to flourish in this relationship. So really be present and observe first of all, and then go in with the right approach of them, the right communication style in order to influence and really be persuasive in that. So you're building that rapport with them. My fourth top tip is to really get them on side. So if you know that you've got an agenda that you want to deliver, that you want to get their input on, and they might have been quite challenging to you in a board level dynamic before, is to use that time put aside for like an hour. And again, if they don't want to have that hour or they don't see the value in that, to really put it across as in added value, and this is the importance and this is what I'm looking for from you, and do some contracting on that, and even call it out if you haven't got a great relationship. Say, actually, I think we've got off to a rocky start, and this isn't how I want to work with you, and this is what I see good looking like, and do you agree? And to really state the obvious and chew the fat to get a better relationship. So I'd put some time aside to say, actually, I really want to get your expert opinion on this, so that ahead of time and ahead of the boardroom dynamics, you're getting their opinion. So then you've got time to go back before it goes into the boardroom, where they might have been difficult before if you haven't got their input, or they don't see what you're trying to do and the importance of that, to really put them aside and get that one-to-one time, which I think would be really helpful. And that's what I've done with, like we've talked about a lot about stakeholder engagement with those difficult nuts to crack. So how do we really work on that and our communication style to understand their communication style, to build that rapport and have those that success, and to turn those relationships around. And then, so my fifth top tip is, how do we think you can work together? So help me to help you. So if you're still not getting anywhere from your communication style, put the ball in their court to say, I'm struggling here. Can you help me to help you? That I want to have a better working relationship with you. And how do you feel it is at the moment, and get them to call some things out and reflect on their behaviour, and how do they see moving forward working together? So have they got some suggestions on how they feel it could potentially be better, and even if they're not coming back to you via email or on the phone, ask them, what is the best way to communicate with you? Have you got this hour aside for me? Or is it a case of we communicate in a different way? So if they then do say, no, email's the best form of communication to me, and they're still not getting back to you on email, say, I've tried that, or let's try that again moving forward. Or do we just need to put response needed for information on those emails, just to help manage what we're expecting of each other, and to work collaboratively. So I hope those 5 top tips on how to partner with finance helps you. So we're 20 minutes into this. So if anyone has got any other questions, final thoughts, then whiz those over into the chat box, and I'm more than happy to give you my opinion and my war wounds that I've had when it comes to dealing with difficult stakeholders and like navigating this information as well. So it might not be easy to find the data, find the numbers, depending upon what system you've got, and what we're asking for from our employees and asking for from the business. And what me and Julie prepared as well was some examples of the dashboards. So like I said, we are going to do 3 parts to understanding finance. So it'll really equip you, hopefully to increase your confidence, but to go away and have a look at your business and do those calculations and be able to present the business with some dashboards if you haven't already got them. And it'll be really good for us to be able to share what some good dashboards look like. And I know some of them are quick and dirty, which is absolutely fine, because we want the information to be all real time and to be up to date, like every month, if not every couple of weeks, to be able to present back to the business. So pop any other final questions over to me, more than happy to come to those. And like I said, unfortunately, Julie was really ill. She did give me the heads up last night, but she was hoping to feel a lot better. But she wasn't at all, even with all the painkillers she told me. But she does run the business for herself. So I did say she needs to, if she's not working, then nobody is working for her. So to have some self-care and take today to what she needs. And she said she did get an early night last night, but still not feeling well today. And she didn't want to let you guys down as well with being here half-heartedly as well. So I said, we totally understand. I'll hold the fort for today. So it's great that you've put some questions over. And as soon as I've been able to speak to Julie, hopefully by the end of the week, then we'll be able to come back to you with some more dates. Brilliant. So if anyone hasn't got any questions for me at the moment on this topic, then I'll end the session just there. So thank you for everybody that has joined me today, even though Julie's not being here. And like I said, we'll come back to you with some more dates, and we'll do a full sort of 50-minute training session with you on that. But in the meantime, send any questions over. This will be available under announcements for you to watch back. And again, if you've got any top tips on how to partner with your finance, if you've got any war wounds of any stories that you want to share with us, any horror stories, it's in a safe place. And also some really great wins of how you potentially have turned that relationship around and how you have gone into a department and got the data, got your numbers. We want to hear those great success stories as well. So thank you very much for everybody joining me today. And I look forward to seeing you again soon. And do take care, and we'll speak soon. Bye.